Good evening, everybody. Thank you for coming in. I apologize for being late. Had some connection issues, so I am coming live to you today from my phone. Not wanting to cancel this, but there's a little different look tonight because I'm on my phone. But come on in, come on in. Let me know that you are here. Let me know that you can hear me. We don't want to be muted like I was yesterday. So thank you guys for coming in. I pray that you can see me, that you are well. We are going to go forth with this live tonight. Again, I apologize for being late. Let me know where you are watching me from. Let me know in the comments. And if you would be so kind, go ahead and share this broadcast out with others that you feel will be blessed by it. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Let's see here. It's a little different doing this on my phone. So I guess we won't have any intros tonight, which is fine. You'll just have me going ahead and get started. So welcome to the Dear Me Challenge. I'm excited to be here with you on day 2. Yesterday was pretty exciting. If you haven't watched that video, go ahead and watch yesterday's video wherever you are seeing this one. That one should be right up under it. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Lynette and Bradshaw. I'm an international best-selling author, speaker, coach, among other things. But that's what I'm presenting myself to you as today. Let's just be honest. When things don't work right, it kind of shakes you a little bit, but it's all about how you respond to it. So let's go ahead and do this the way we need to do it today. So we are in October and the seasons have changed, and I wanted to come to you and do a Dear Me challenge because, like I've said, that when the seasons change naturally, I have always felt like that means that something has changed in my life, and that means that it's time to shift. And so the Dear Me challenge is related to my best-selling book, Dear Me, I See You. And it's a collaboration of intimate letters from a woman's heart to the little girl within. And when the seasons begin to change, that's also a sign that it's time for an identity shift. So you're going to see me looking over here at my notes. I apologize for that, but here we go. All right. So we talk about an identity shift. It's about the act of moving closer to the highest version of your authentic self. And I shared with you yesterday that some years ago, I started to look at many years ago, maybe in the 1800s, that they didn't call a mirror. They called it a looking glass. And so when I started thinking about an identity shift, I always think about what am I looking into to gauge what my identity is, to gauge who I am. And so when we begin to have those dear me moments in our life where we're ready to have transition and we're ready to shift, we have to really analyze what we're looking into to identify to ourselves who we are. So I think that the Dear Me I See You book is, I call it a blueprint. It's a blueprint for girls and women who are ready to stop running away from themselves and really have true transition and transformation in their lives. So the identity shift is a very important part of that journey because you'll be surprised at what you um, think about and how you see yourself in different scenarios of your life because you haven't identified what your looking glass is. It looks back at you, and no matter what you're trying to do, it always seems to show up and remind you of what you have come to believe yourself to be. So the Dear Me challenge is about embrace, evolve, and exhale. And the next part of that is Dear Me, embrace. And as I said before, these definitions are not necessarily what you will find on Google, but is what these words mean to me and have meant to me along my journey of transformation and transition and shifting into a new identity. And embrace is the true, it truly means to hold it close to you instead of denying and pushing it away. I always think about embrace as having a good, strong hug with someone that you really care about. And sadly, when we have the wrong image of ourselves and we haven't really addressed the things that we need to address about ourselves, we push ourselves away. We become disconnected from ourselves, just like you would in any other relationship. Instead of you drawing closer to yourself, you kind of ignore yourself and run away from yourself. So we're going to talk about that a little bit. And then the next part of that is Dear Me Evolve. And to me, it simply means to develop gradually into better. So that's what we're doing in this challenge. And then you exhale. Dear Me Exhale. Again, it simply means to do something better than you usually do, right? And when we think about Dear Me, it is to me a declaration. It's a declaration to your own self. It's a declaration to get your attention. So when you think about Dear Me, I don't want you to run away from it. I want you to truly be ready to embrace it. When we decide that, oh my God, it's 3 months left, less than 3 months now left in this year, and you want to start thinking about different goals and different resolutions that you want to make for yourself. Those really won't last if you haven't addressed the things that you've been carrying in this year that you haven't addressed. You've just been kind of shifting them around in your life and putting them in different places in your life. And until you begin to have these identity shifts, you carry them over from one year to the next. So again, thank you guys for being here. Let me know that you are here. Leave me a comment. Say hello to me in the comments. Let me know that you are here. And so in the Dear Me, I See You anthology, one of the chapters that I wrote in here is called Invisible, Seeking My Reflection in Daddy's Eyes. And tonight we're going to talk about self-resentment to self-forgiveness. Resentment to me is, having some really harsh feelings about towards someone who has hurt you or treated you as if you weren't worthy or you weren't valuable to them. And even when you stay in the relationship, sometimes you can still have resentment towards that other person, right? It's like you don't want to let them go, but you're still holding on to these strong feelings because of how they treated you. You know, it's so interesting sometimes how we can be in relationships and hold resentment. It shows up in our attitude, it shows up in our comments, it shows up in our responses, it shows up in our body language, but we'll say that we're all right. But have you thought about what type of resentment are you holding towards yourself, right? When I think about looking for my identity in my dad's eyes or in other relationships that I've been in, when I started to do my own Dear Me journey, have my own time of reflection, my own time of transition, I resented myself and I didn't even realize it. I resented the part of me that was so broken that I couldn't say no. I resented the part of me that allowed people to treat me less than I was, even when I didn't believe that I was worthy to be treated better. So even though I worked through the process of forgiving them, I resented me for not being strong enough. Where in your life are you holding resentment towards yourself? Where in your life do you have these harsh feelings towards yourself? Because at a time in your life, you didn't believe nor did you feel that you were worthy, you were valuable, that you deserved more, right? We have all gone through these different seasons in our life where we just didn't feel strong enough. And when you don't feel those things naturally about yourself, and you allow other people to treat you the same way, you start to put yourself down. And it shows up in how you treat yourself. It shows up in the lack of discipline, the lack of confidence. It shows up in how that you're not as assertive as you want to be. You can also begin to see yourself as a victim, right? And we know that when we see ourselves as a victim, we don't show up in a powerful way. We show up with this guard up around us and we don't see it, but other people feel it, you know? So I want us to really be able to do that inner work to see where are we holding resentment, anger towards ourselves. I know for me, it's shown up in a lot of different ways. It's shown up to me where I beat myself up with my words, and no matter how far I tried to go, whether that was in business or in setting goals and achieving goals for myself, it always seemed to show up. It seemed to show up because even though I was trying to do it, I didn't feel like I could. And I didn't feel like I deserved it. I didn't feel like it was possible for me. And so I started to think about, how did I treat the people that I resented in my life, and how does that compare to how I show resentment to myself? And I started to think back to how being in a relationship with my dad when he was still alive, how that resentment showed up with him and I. Even though I resented him, I still wanted his love. I still wanted his attention, but I didn't know what I needed to do in order to get that. And when I looked at it for myself, well, how am I treating me? I wasn't treating myself like I wanted to be around me, or I wanted to love myself, until I began to look at myself and say, I do resent you for not being strong enough. I resent you for laying down and letting people just walk over you. And then I resent you for not being wise enough to see that this is showing up in your business. It's showing up in you achieving your goals. It's showing up in your relationship with your children. And until I was able to do that, nothing changed. No matter how many goals I made, no matter how many times I tried to do it, or how many times I seemed to have failed, I didn't see that many times the issue was not the goals. It was not the other people. It was me. It was me. And I think that that's why many of us don't want to have this dear me experience, because we don't want to look ourselves in the mirror. We want to blame the other people and say that they're the issue, that they're the reasons why you feel this way. They're the reasons why you're not as far along as you want to be. Yes, they may have some impact in it at a certain point, but we all know that we have the final decision on where we want to do and what we want to achieve, right? So when you think about really addressing yourself, that's a hard pill to swallow, but it's also a powerful pill to swallow, because resentment only holds you in place. Resentment, again, makes you a victim to the situation and the circumstance. And as we begin to shift our identity, the mirror that we're looking into changes. It has to change, or will remain the same. It has to, we have to begin to stop giving what we've been identifying ourselves with the power that we've given it in order to change. So what do we want to do when we begin to shift our identity? Look at who created us. God created us. And you may think, well, I know he said he created us, he made us, he formed us, he loved us. But I know for myself, it was very hard to accept that for myself. It was very, very hard to accept that for myself. And learning to really look at myself and identifying, what am I hearing and what am I seeing when I began to think about wanting better for myself. So when we wrote the book, Dear Me, I See You, that was even a hard pill for some people, because we are not used to looking at ourselves. When we go back to Dear Me, Embrace, that's the part that we push away. We push ourselves away and look for other people and other things to help us to feel valuable, help us to feel important, help us to feel enough to be able to obtain goals, to have a successful business, to have great friendships, great relationships, to be able to step forward and be a speaker, be a coach, be a writer, whatever that is for you. We look for the degrees, we look for the dollar signs, the bank accounts, and all those things to try and tell us how much value that we have, when the whole time we're resenting ourselves because we don't feel strong enough. That is such a hard pill to swallow. It's a hard pill to swallow when you realize that you're the one that's holding yourself back because you haven't found that courage to forgive yourself. That's what I want us to get to tonight. That on this Dear Me journey of transition and transformation, not only do we want to embrace what the issue is, embrace ourselves in a different way, and begin to redefine who we are so that we can shift into the highest authentic version of ourselves, but we also have to learn to forgive ourselves. That's those little small steps. That's those steps where we exhale because we're doing things better or differently than how we used to do it. And forgiveness is another hard pill to swallow. And I'll tell you this, many times we don't think that forgiveness has anything to do with us running a business, being a CEO of a business. We don't think it has anything to do with forgiving ourselves has anything to do with obtaining our goals, right? Well, let me tell you, last year in November, I had a huge breakthrough in forgiveness. At the time, I was 55 years old, and for the first time in my life, I completely forgave my mom. It was nothing that she did differently. It was nothing she said differently, but it was that time, for such a time as this, that my heart released all the resentment and all the unforgiveness that I had held in my life since I was old enough to know that I could be mad at somebody, right? But the greater step came that in November, the same month, my baby boy would have been 25 at the time. And I lost him sadly in at 21 weeks in my pregnancy back in 1997. I had worked through all the heartache. I had worked through forgiving all the people, all the things. But what I didn't realize is that I had not forgiven myself. And with the combination of forgiving my mom and forgiving myself, it released me where I finally began to see breakthrough in my business. I had been working through the resentment. I had been working through the rejection, but I didn't know that I needed to forgive myself. I needed to forgive myself because I blamed myself. I thought it was my fault. That's a pill that I was choking on for 25 years. 25 years. I blamed myself for the death of my baby. I blamed myself for the pain I caused my children and my husband at the time. I blamed myself because I felt like I did something to cause his death. There were a lot of things that happened that was the reason why he's not here. But holding myself captive with unforgiveness towards myself was stopping me from being successful, from excelling in life the way that I wanted to. So going on a journey of Dear Me helped me to be able to shift my life in that season of my life and release resentment for myself and release unforgiveness towards myself because it was impacting my business. It was impacting my life. It was impacting my relationships. Because again, it keeps us in that victim mode where we unconsciously have the belief that we only deserve the bad things. We only deserve to be treated bad, to be lied to be betrayed to, because a person who doesn't value themselves can't expect for people to treat them well or be honest with them or have loyalty to them. Even though you may be further along where you're learning that that's what you deserve, the resentment and the unforgiveness hold you back more than anything. So as we are beginning to shift, we have shifted into the fall. What is it that you're willing to give yourself permission to do to let go of resentment and to let go of unforgiveness and to be able to really examine yourself, to be honest with yourself as to what where you are now and where you're wanting to go. And it can be something so small or it can be something so big that you're still resenting yourself for. At a time in your life where you weren't strong enough to stand up for yourself, to say no when you're used to saying yes because you didn't want people to leave your life or you didn't want people to really see you for who you are because you didn't believe that you were good enough for them to accept you. But now you're ready as the seasons are changing in your life to really be able to do the work for yourself, to learn how to let go of what you couldn't control. And even the things that you could control, but you chose not to, that you realize that you no longer have to allow that to beat you down. You did what you knew to do when you did it. And now that you're learning better, you're going to do better because it makes it better for you. What are you going to do to be able to shift into this new season of your life at a higher level, to be a more authentic version of yourself, because that's what you deserve to do? That's why I say, Dear Me, I See You is a blueprint. It gives women the permission to be able to do what they need to do for themselves, to see themselves maybe not in a good state at the time, but give themselves permission to be able to progress, to embrace the things, the parts of themselves that they really feel is ready for transformation, and to do that internal work, that heart work, so that they can be able to evolve and excel, to become that higher version of themselves, to do a little better than they did before. Are you willing to do that for yourself? Then that's going to take some action, because I believe that we are in a great season of our life, no matter what your age is. And if you're seeing this video and you're hearing my voice, I want to hear from you. What is it that you're willing to give yourself permission to do today so that you can become who you desire to be? I believe that we think sometimes that if we just hold on to things and if we just hide things, then eventually it'll go away. For 55 years, I didn't know that I hadn't completely forgiven my mom, but I knew that my heart felt closed off to her and I wanted it to be open. I didn't realize that for 25 years that I hadn't forgiven myself for my baby's death. And I knew I was ready to release it. So I was doing the work in order for me to be able to write this anthology that I wrote and became the visionary of, but I didn't know what the step was going to be. I had to give myself permission to deal with me and to really see myself at my weakest point so that I can step into the most authentic version of myself at a higher level. All right. So I hope you have enjoyed day 2. Leave your comments below. Again, I want to apologize for coming on my phone. Now everything is working fine, all the internet and everything. But we shifted and we just made it happen tonight, right? Let me know your thoughts about today's message on self resentment to self forgiveness. It's a hard pill to hold on to, but it's so freeing when you decide to choose it for yourself. Choose that you're not going to end this year the same way you ended it before with the things that you were holding on to. If you're ready to be better in your business, to be a better person for yourself, to be a stronger version of yourself, to be able to step forward boldly and confidently the way you're purposed to, there are some things that you have to be honest with yourself about and know that it's okay, that it's not about perfection. It's about doing things a little bit better than you did before. And let me just be honest before I go. Pushing a go live button has been something that has forever been hard for me. But I made a decision that I am ready to step forward in different areas of my life. And that's going to require me doing something a little bit different and a little bit better than what I'm used to doing. And if that means that I got to push a go live button and share this message with you and know that it's going to help somebody, then that's what I got to do. That's what we all need to do as we are in this shift, this transition, this new place in our life. Maybe you've experienced some things this year that has kind of changed you a little bit, and you're not the person that you used to be. Maybe at the beginning of the year, you said you were going to do some things, and here we are in October, and you don't see change in those areas. just know that every step that you take towards embracing yourself, really seeing yourself, and if what you're looking into to identify yourself no longer works for you, know that you have the right, the responsibility, and the permission to shift it. If you have been trying to live your life for somebody to approve you, accept you, love you, then you're looking into the wrong mirror and it's time to make a shift. If you're living your life trying to get somebody to give you a pat on the back, for them to walk along with you because now they see you as being worthy, if you're looking for somebody to come and tell you that you deserve to step forward, that you deserve to be bold, that you deserve to be courageous, that you deserve to live your life joyful with everything you've done in life and everything you've endured, they're not coming. The person looking back at you in the mirror is the one that has to give you the permission to be able to do that. All right. So if you haven't picked up your copy of Dear Me, I See You, I'm going to leave the link either in the comments or above this video, and you can order that today from my website at www.restoreherworth.com. And again, share with me how this message has impacted your life. What was the one thing that you got out of this message that's helping you to take another step? I want to know. Let me know, because this is not just about me. This is about all of us getting what we need at the right time to make the move that we need to make to be able to be in the shift in a powerful way. All right. So thank you guys so much for watching. I've enjoyed being here with you tonight. I'll see you next week on Monday and Wednesday as we go live for the month of October. As the seasons have changed, it's time for us to be able to have that Dear Me movement to embrace, involve, and excel by giving ourselves permission to redefine our identity. So thank you so much, and I'll talk to you on the next video.